Welcome to another episode of Morning Mojo with me, your host Shane Solomon. Today, I'm delighted to have on the sofa a very good friend of mine, Shaun Wallace.
Good morning, Shane. How are you?
I'm top of the world. As I always like to say, looking down on creation. I'm calling this podcast Chasing the Dream because you have a book out of that title.
Yeah, published 6 years ago in the autumn of 2018. Yep.
So the dream for these people listening to this podcast, people watching it back on YouTube, and this show is made to inspire, inform people, motivate people.
Yeah.
The dream. How do people chase the dream, Shaun? In short,
you've got to have an ambition. You've got to have a goal and a target. And everybody should be encouraged to actually have a goal or a target to actually reach. And if you do reach it, the most important thing is you've got to continue chasing other dreams. Never, ever rest on your laurels. Because the minute you think that you've made it, that's when you become complacent, then demotivated. And it's a quick slide down that slippery slope. So it's always important to actually chase dreams, chase challenges. And I've spent my life doing that.
And of course, people look at you now and probably think, oh, it's all right for Shaun. He's on the TV, he's on the chase, he's won Mastermind. He does all these wonderful things. He's on this TV show, he's on that TV show, he's at the NTAs. They see this bit now, but it's not always been like that.
No, it's not always been like that. And that's one of the reasons I wrote the book, Shane, because I think people see you in a public eye. They think you're born rich, they think you're born clever, and they think you're born famous. And one of the reasons I wanted to write the book is I want people to realize that there is a backstory of hardship, struggle, disappointment. It took me 4 times to pass O-level English language, and I make that point most emphatically. 43 years ago, when I thought I was going to get my A-levels, the grades weren't good enough, and I had to take a hard look at myself in relation to being like the Muhammad Ali of my class. I'm the greatest. I'm going to be the greatest lawyer. But if you talk the talk, you've got to be able to walk the walk. And when you do have disappointment, it's important to realize that it doesn't define you as a person. It doesn't mean to say that your future's behind you. Sometimes you've got to actually ask yourself those searching questions in relation to, well, why didn't I make the grade? Why didn't I work hard enough? And it's easy to point the finger of blame and say it was his fault and it was her fault. But the person you've got to look at first is a reflection in the mirror. Ask yourself those hard searching questions as to why you didn't make the grade at that particular point.
Indeed. In fact, one of the great quotes I've always lived by, and that is, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better.
Yeah.
Keep striving to get better.
Yeah. And to be honest, who'd want life to be easy? Because life isn't easy. And people who've had an easy ride to life find it difficult to actually cope with problems when they're presented to them. So for me, I'm glad that I've had those setbacks because it helped define me and shape me as a person. But it's always important to recognize and realize that if you do have success in life, that you're not an island. You're not a person who's done it by themselves. You need the support. You need the encouragement. You need the motivation. Obviously, you've got to have the talent and the desire within to actually achieve your particular goal, because you can lead the horse to water. You can't make it drink.
Absolutely.
And it's always remember to have this in mind. The road to construction, the road to success is always under construction. It takes one small step on that long journey to success.
Now, surrounding yourself with the right people and, really getting in with that good energy of people. And on that note, I want to mention a very good friend of ours, Lewis Nichols.
Yeah, Lewis Nichols, great man. He contacted me in the sort of the spring of 2021. And he reached out to me because he wanted to interview me. And I said I'd do so. And I did a quiz for him. Then he said, I've got this really good egg you'd really get on with. His name is Shane Solomon. So we got together, and the first time I came down to Cornwall was when I hosted that quiz down here in the spring of 2021, and our friendship's going from strength to strength, and I haven't looked back since.
Exactly. We've got a few things lined up, but again, it's attitude of gratitude for me, and I'm always grateful to Lewis for taking that time to mention me to you, because obviously he didn't have to, and I've got a lot of respect for him, and I'm always thankful for that. And our friendship as it grows, and we was up in London supporting the Cornwall Ambulance at the Corinthia Hotel recently. We're off to go and have like an afternoon dinner speaking thing with Harry Redknapp.
Absolutely.
You looking forward to that?
I certainly am. And just before I came onto this wonderful podcast, I was with Team Byrne. Ed Byrne, a wonderful man, a multi-world champion.
Yes.
Taught me the sort of intricacies in terms of karate kickboxing, and it was a great lesson to learn, and I had great fun. And I'm wearing his shirt with pride.
And you are a great advocate of supporting, those, I don't say less fortunate, but these kind of businesses, these organizations wouldn't get the necessary plug without your help.
Well, as I say, there are various organisations who've got an altruistic goal and an altruistic meaning for their existence, and I think it's important that people like me help promote that. And the one thing I've always said, Shane, it's one of my philosophies in life, is that no matter how successful you are, it's always important to look backwards. It's always important to put that ladder of opportunity for others to climb up, not to my level, hopefully to go beyond my level. Because as I say, if they accept and believe in the philosophy I have in terms of being altruistic and using your fame in a positive way, they are then going to pass that message on. And it's always about passing on good messages in an altruistic and good way.
Now, people waking up listening to this podcast, whether the gym, whether on their way to work, are probably looking for that little nugget. They might have just started the day a little bit wrong today. They might have stubbed their toe as they got out of bed, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
How do you start your day, Shaun, to get you on the right footing?
Right. Every morning I get up. I don't care how cold it is. I don't care how hot it is. I go to my local outdoor gym, do a 30-minute session, sets me right up. Have breakfast if I've got time. I either go off to court, go off to the chase, or do some other sort of business interest that I do have. And I'm really grateful and motivated that I've got something to do. I've got something to contribute. And although tomorrow never promised to anybody, I do look forward to the day, and I look forward to hopefully creating a day which will be a good future for myself.
Fantastic. And inspirations, where do you pull your inspirations from? Whether that be people,
Everybody
experiences?
has role models. If you was to come to my house, Shane, one day you will come when you come to London, because I know you and Helen are really, really busy when you come in and out of London.
Yeah.
I've got a mural on my wall called My Inspiration. People, as a young black boy growing up, I was thrilled to know that people who had the same colour skin of me, such as Pele, such as Gary Sobers, such as Malcolm X, such as the great Tommy Smith, who did the Black Power salute in the 1968 Summer Olympic Games. They were making great strides on the world stage, and I was so proud that they're the same colour skin as me. And I used to say as a young kid, if I had a fraction of what they've achieved in life, then my life's going to mean something. If you was to ask the 11-year-old Shaun Wallace what he wanted to be in life, I wanted to be a lawyer. And on the 27th of November 2024, I'll be celebrating 40 years as a practicing barrister. But if you were to ask the young Shaun Wallace, would you be as well known in the public eye as you are today? And a mastermind champion who will be celebrating 20 years as a mastermind champion.
Indeed, yeah.
I would have basically said you're lying. But it's real. Life does have a funny way of sort of turning around. When 25 years ago I was Shaun who? I know what it's like to sort of suffer disappointment. I know what it's like to suffer heartache, especially in my career at times. So I'm grateful, especially at the age of 44 when I did become a mastermind champion, in relation to the fact that the public eye have recognised me for what I've achieved intellectually. And I never told a soul when I won mastermind. The first time my mum and my family knew was when they saw it on TV. And at the time when the news broke, I was in a different country because I wanted them to have the same sort of tension when they were watching the grand final, because at the time it was the closest victory in the show's history, where the person I beat in the second place passed twice and I didn't pass at all. And when they asked me, why didn't you pass? I said, I only passed when I'm playing football. But it gave me time to actually reflect in relation to the fact that I knew that my life was going to change forever. But the one thing it wasn't going to do was to change me as a person. And this week, when the podcast goes out, I'll be living on the same road that I've grown up on for the last 60 years. And for me, that's very, very important. And people are astonished at that fact. But if you're happy in the environment which you live and you love that environment and they're proud of you and I'm proud of it, why would I want to live anywhere else?
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, the house still keeps you dry.
Yeah.
A watch still tells the time.
Yeah, exactly.
And a car still gets you from A to
And
B.
guess what? You can only live in one nice house at a time. You can only wear one nice suit at a time. You can only drive one car at a time. And the one thing I've never, ever been like is living to excess. Because as I say, I'm always for believing that everybody should be given an opportunity to have that great slice of pie in life. And I'm more than willing to give my share and share the pie, which my pie of success. And anybody wants to eat it for themselves, I hope it chokes them when they're
Yes.
eating.
Yes, indeed. Now you've given a few nuggets actually away in what you've said already, but those people listening, watching to the podcast, and they're looking for success, your kind of words to them, I guess the obvious is never give up, but you
Yeah,
know,
listen, I'm no different to when I was as a kid growing up. I had dreams and ambitions. Not everybody can reach the heights of success that they always dream. You can only reach the level which you can reach because there's a thin line between obscurity and success. And sometimes I think it's 99% luck and 1% talent. But you can make that 1% talent go an awful long way when you are given the opportunity. And the one thing I always say to people is that when you are given that opportunity, always make sure you put your best foot forward because you never know who's watching you. Even the most successful businessman in the world, the most successful entertainer in the world needed that break, needed that opportunity to shine. And when they were given that opportunity, they did shine. But I always say to people, when you jump from the chorus line to becoming the lead singer, make sure you can sing because there's somebody in the waiting wings who can.
good advice. I'd like to think I can sing. I'm gonna have a
Oh,
go.
of course you can sing, Shane.
I'm gonna have a
Uh,
go one day. So, what about personal development for you? Do you do any of that as so-called listening to audios, reading books? Do you do any of that?
I don't. I'd like to think that everybody's inspired by good things when you see it, and you try and take your little snippets of good people who have got inspirational things to say, who are doing good deeds, who are actually making a positive contribution to the society, and I try and take bits of that, but be yourself. Don't be an imitator. Be a good imitator of somebody you're trying to aspire to, but do so as your own personality.
Mm, okay. And what about things when they're not working? Even in this day and age for you, with all the success you found, what happens for you if something doesn't go your way? How do you get over
If
it?
it doesn't go your way, as I say, you've just got to take stock. You've got to take a step back and realize, okay, why isn't it working? As I said to you before earlier in this podcast, you can point the finger blame on a lot of people, but the first person you've got to ask is a reflection in the mirror. So sometimes it's always important to take a step back, deconstruct the problem, analyze it, and try and put it together with the help of people who can give you proper and sensible and constructive advice. Because the one thing I always will take is sensible advice.
Mm,
Uh, it's no good being wrong and strong because that's not going to get you anywhere. So for me, if I can't solve the problem, as I said to you before, I'm not an island. And if I need help, specialist advice, good counselling, then I'm going to go to it.
now, exercise is a big thing for you. We've
Yeah.
just filmed something with you, but how important is it for people to, really build exercise into their daily lives?
I think everybody has a general responsibility in terms of looking after their own well-being. Remember, you've only got one shot at life. As I said to you before, tomorrow's not promised to anybody. And I think if you do make that investment in terms of keeping yourself physically and mentally at the best you can possibly be, then you're making that investment for the future. I think. I've always been into fitness. I used to run a lot of marathons. Obviously, it's that's been put paid to now because of the problems of pounding the streets over the years has really done really irreparable damage to my knees.
Mm.
So I've replaced that now by getting a rowing machine. Now in 2020, I was part of a show called Don't Rock the Boat. I was the oldest contestant competing in that with people like Fleur East, Denise Lewis, Tom Watson, Craig Charles. Yeah, and we had a fantastic time rowing the length and breadth of the country, taking part in different challenges. And
Mm.
AJ Adudu and my mate Freddie Flintoff were the hosts, and we had a fantastic time. And as a legacy of that, I then went out and bought myself a rowing machine, and I use that all the time. So for the last 14 years, I've had a personal trainer to help me, and we train every single day without fail.
Yeah.
The only time I don't train is when he's not here or I'm abroad or something like that. But he's a dear friend of mine, and he's helped me to put together a fitness video that I'm going to be bringing out in the spring called Fitness for Over 50s. And the one thing I like about Biko is that although we're dear friends, during that hour when he's my personal trainer, we're not friends. And when he says to me, do something, I've got to do it,
Making sure
even
you
when I
get the
don't want to do
results.
it. And sometimes the worst thing about training, sometimes I say to people, is the thought of doing it.
Well, that's right. I think that is true, and as you can tell, I don't train, but I should do.
Yeah.
I do as many steps as I can. I try and do something. In fact, I pace a lot on the phone.
Yeah.
I do so many steps in a
Yeah,
day.
I wouldn't expect anybody to do the sort of level of commitment to training like I do. But if you make that small investment, walking steps, so just walking down the road or doing something to help improve your sort of physical well-being, and that in turn will help with the general mental well-being, I think, because we've got problems in terms of general state of sort of mental illnesses, which is sort of becoming prevalent in sort of a modern day society. And I think we should always make sure that we look out for signs of friends who are struggling mentally. And I always try to do that as well. As I said to you before, I'm vulnerable just like anybody else. Every Achilles does have a heel. And when I do need problems, it's important that you turn to problems and ask for help. Try not to bottle it inside because a problem shared, as they say, is a problem halved.
Indeed it is. And the importance to round up this podcast of just being nice to people. I mean, I've been blessed to go around with you on many different occasions now where people stop you and they'll ask you for your time for a quick photograph and things like that. Now, you could be like, some of the celebrities that are out there and just kind of say, no, sorry, I'm, on personal time, whatever. But I must admit, you do take the time. I'll give you your due and you'll take the picture. But it's just being nice, right? I mean,
and to say, because I'm conscious of the fact that the only reason I'm famous is because the public make me famous, and I'm grateful for that. When people come up to me, I'll always spend some time with them. I'll always want to take a picture. I'll always send a photograph if they require it, or take videos, because I'm conscious of the fact that the only reason I am famous is because the public make me famous, and it's my way of saying thank you.
But that energy vibe that's being put out to the world after you've met those people, honestly, it buzzes.
And I'm grateful for that. It's the way I can say thank you. And I'm really pleased that I managed to bring joy into somebody's life, albeit briefly, when they do meet me.
Well, look, I don't want to take any more of your time. Your time is very precious. But
so is yours.
The book is out.
It's always been out. It's been out for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
It's my life story, which I tell in the course of a day, listening to Steely Dan's greatest hits. And I talk about the ups and downs of my life. And I want people to be inspired by what they read. And that's why it's called Chasing a Dream, because I'm always setting goals and challenges for myself. And, the greatest achievement I've had in my life was when I qualified as a young barrister, in November 1984. Because I taught the talk and I managed to walk the walk. But even at that point, when I became a qualified barrister, when they handed me the certificate at the ceremony, the one thing that struck home to me was this: all the hard work, all the blood, sweat and tears, all the disappointment, all it had done was bring me to the start line of a different challenge. That's why I'm always chasing my dreams.
Well, what a way to finish. Shaun, it's an absolute pleasure. And as always, thank you very much for all the wonderful charity work you do for us here in Cornwall. Cornwall loves you, my friend. I love you.
Cornwall.
You're
Thank you.
Good man.
I love Kennett.
And it loves you, honestly. What an ambassador to have. But anyway, look, guys, thank you very much for listening to this episode of Morning Mojo with me, Shane Solomon, your host. It's been a pleasure to have Shaun Wallace, a.k.a. the Dark Destroyer from ITV's The Chase, and so many other things as well that he's achieved in his life. And share it, like it, love it, tell someone else, subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you, Shaun.
It's a great podcast.
He's too nice. Cheers, guys. Thank you.